Hello everyone, we're back with a quick look at some major changes to the Legendary Perk system on the Fallout 76 public test server. In keeping with Bethesda's instructions, while there is no NDA on the public test server, they've asked that when we post videos showing any new content, we give a spoiler warning. So here's your spoiler warning. Today, we're just looking at the new Legendary Perks. We're not covering story content or anything like that. So unless you just want to be totally surprised with the perks when they come out, you should be safe. What we see here is a huge collection of new Legendary Perks, and it's clear that Bethesda took player feedback to heart and rolled out some really good ones this time. You'll notice that some don't have any artwork. Remember, this is a test server, not the public release. It's clear that for the last month or so, they've been putting their efforts into creating and implementing new perks, not worrying about artwork or some of the other mechanics just yet. That's okay. This is the part that really needed attention, and I'm happy to see how much progress they made and how much they listened when it comes to these new perks. The first one is one of my favorites. It's called Ammo Factory, and it's just a passive crafting bonus. You get 50% more ammo when you craft ammo. If you rank it up, you get increasing amounts up to, I think, 150% more. So that's huge. That's the kind of thing that players were asking for. So I'm really glad to see that. Next up, we have Anti-Venom, where we're going to get poison resistance when wearing a matching set of armor. So heavy combat armor, Secret Service armor, any matching set. I don't think that means matching legendary effects, just matching type of armor. So that's really cool, especially for low health builds. There's nothing more dangerous to us than a mosquito at a Scorch Beast Queen fight. So this is a great change. I'm really glad that they put this in there. Very, very positive move. Really looking forward to having that one in the game. The next one is Blood Sacrifice. This is actually an old one. This was in the first round of Legendary Perks. When you die, your teammates gain 25 damage resistance and heal 40 HP over 8 seconds. Of course, that increases as you rank it up. This one was one that, I don't know how popular it's going to be, but that's okay. It's here, it works, and we'll see how people like it. After that, we've got Brawling Chemist. This was another one of the original Legendary Perks. Generate 1 combat-enhancing chem every hour, up to a max of 3. And of course, you get more as you rank that up. That chem gives you some damage resistance, and it increases your melee damage. So melee players, definitely a useful perk for them. Cleave is a new one. This one is 20% chance for melee VATS attacks to do area damage. That's really interesting. I don't play as a melee player very often, but I think that could be useful for especially two-handed melee players with slower weapons when they get hit with big mobs. Something like that to help clear out the crowd a little bit could be very, very useful. These next two, Collateral Damage and Detonation Contagion, are again 2 of the original ones. These were some that kind of became a little bit of a meme within the community. There's 2 others too, that enemies explode when you kill them through various different means. These again, I guess they're just for fun. The enemy's already dead. I'm not sure why I would use a Legendary Perk slot just to make them explode when they die, but maybe I'm missing something here. I'm certainly open to that, but we'll keep going here. Let's not dwell on the negatives. Let's move along. The next one is Electric Absorption. This one's going to be very useful for power armor users. 10% chance enemy energy attacks recharge your power armor's fusion core. That'll be super helpful when running nuke silos, and it'll be really helpful for power armor users at Encrypted, where you're just getting mobbed by robots. Next up, we have Exploding Palm. Here's another one of those explosive perks. This one's a little different. With this one, when you're using an unarmed weapon or a bare fist, there's a chance that that attack will trigger an explosion, doing additional damage. So if you've ever wished that your legendary Deathclaw Gauntlet could also have the explosive effect, here's how you get that for yourself. And next up we have Far-Flung Fireworks. So this is another one of those Enemies explode on death when killed by various means perks. It's kind of cool. It looks cool, but once again, not really sure what it does, but okay. Next up, this is another one that I think is going to be really useful. It's called Fire Lining. 50 fire damage resistance when wearing a matching set of armor, much like the anti-venom perk. This one, you may not think it's super useful now, but when you get into the Colossal Problem event for the first time, you're going to realize why that's useful. There's a lot of falling fire damage in there that comes out of nowhere, so a perk like this that protects you from that, at low health especially, is really going to be good. Next up, we have Follow Through. This is another one of those original legendary perks, and this one I loved. Everybody seemed to really like this one. This increases your ranged sneak damage to your target by 10% for 10 seconds. So after a sneak attack, your target takes more damage for 10 seconds. If you're repeatedly attacking, that will continue. Very, very useful perk. The next ones we see here, these are the really good ones. This is where we see that Bethesda was really listening, and not just listening, but really thinking through problems. You had a lot of users wishing they could have a little more, that they could have a little more damage in certain weapons so that they could have more flexible builds and things like that. Rather than do all that individual stuff, what you have here is a really simple, really elegantly simple solution. Your special points are still maxed at 15, but when you take these legendary perks, they let you put additional points in categories that you don't have maxed out. So for example, where my build maxes out perception and agility, I can take these and put a little bit more in charisma, which is great now with public teams because we all want more charisma so we can share more perks and use more perks to buff up our XP. So the first thing I'm going to do, of course, is put another point in charisma so that I can run full inspirational and strange in numbers at all times. I may put some more in strength, maybe give myself a little bit of power with heavy guns or shotguns. Maybe I throw more in luck so I can have a little more VATS critical chance. Or maybe I want to throw a few more in intelligence just to boost up my XP gains. That's the beauty of this, is this part here really lets users get creative. It really lets us tweak our builds and kind of fine-tune them exactly how we want, or at least closer to exactly how we want. So I'm really impressed with this. I'm really impressed that they hit this right on the head the first time through. Let's keep going and look at some more perks. The next one up is another one that was requested often by players and people who were testing the PTS last time around. Master Infiltrator. This one auto unlocks skill 0 terminals and locks, plus 3 lockpick and hacking skills. So basically, it takes your hacker and your lockpick perk, combines it into one, sticks it there so you don't have to swap those cards in and out anymore. And as you rank it up, it becomes more useful in that it will just automatically unlock those things for you. That's super useful. A lot of players are going to run that, and that's really cool. It's also nice that it just gives you the ability to unlock those things manually right off the bat. That way, if I don't want to spend perk coins to upgrade this, perk coins, we'll talk about that later. But if I don't want to invest in upgrading this, it's still useful just putting it on. So that's really good. Next up is Nuclear Proliferator. Generate 1 lightweight mini nuke every hour up to a max of 3. I was initially a little confused by this, and then I saw some photos of how this actually works. It's not really a mini nuke, it's like a mini nuke grenade. So that's kind of cool. It's kind of fun, especially if it's lightweight, doesn't really weigh you down. That could be a nice, fun little thing to give players to use. So looking forward to seeing how that one works. Next up, we see another one of our power armor perks. 15% chance to auto-revive with full health if you're downed in power armor. Another useful one for power armor users. That's great because power armor doesn't have the legendary effects. It, sometimes feels a little bit left out. So I'm glad to see that. Same thing with Power Sprinter. While in Power Armor, sprinting consumes 20% fewer action points, so very similar to Marathoner, but this time it works in Power Armor. So once again, happy to see the Power Armor users getting a little love. Next up, we have Retribution. This is another one from the first time around that a lot of people thought was really cool. Blocking a melee attack restores 1 HP and 1 AP for 15 seconds, and that gets more powerful as you rank it up. That's kind of cool. I could imagine certain scenarios where that would be really useful, especially maybe certain boss fights where you can block melee attacks and regenerate your health. Again, for me, not a melee user, so not really going to see that one, but could be great for somebody else. Survival Shortcut is our next one. Generate 1 survival aiding chem every 30 minutes up to a max of 5. Get more as you rank it up. Again, looked into this one a little bit. What it looks like is it's a chem that fills your hunger and your thirst meter, so super useful for a lot of users. And to round it all out, we'll see Taking One for the Team and What Rads. Both of these were perks that were introduced last time around. For Taking One for the Team, enemies take 10% more damage when they attack you if you're on a team. So basically, you can go in and tank the first hit, and your team can do a little extra damage, so that could be useful in boss fights. And What Rads, plus 50 rad resist, restore 1 rad per second. That could be really useful, especially for full health builds, especially if they introduce any new legendary effects or anything like that down the line. So very useful perk, not one that I will probably use, but there's a lot of people out there who like to be at full health all the time, and they will love that perk because that'll keep those rads cleaned up all the time. With that, that brings us to the end of the new legendary perks. The thing that really stands out to me here is they did what the players asked for. They gave us some utility perks. They gave us some quality of life perks with the lock picking and the ammo smithing perks. Most importantly, they gave us build flexibility with the ability to add extra special points to our stats using legendary perks. So that right there kind of replaces some specific legendary perks. It allows us to get more creative and get more flexible with our builds without really requiring Bethesda to put those pieces in place for us, which I think is really good. There is more work to be done here, and I'm not going to go into a whole lot of it because it clearly wasn't the focus this time around. If you're active inside the Fallout 76 community, you're going to see people talking about perk coins and how much it costs to upgrade the perks and things like that. They made some changes to simplify that system, but it also made it really expensive to upgrade them, and clearly that is not going to be a permanent change. They were obviously focusing on the creative end of it, of creating new perks, getting them in the game, getting them working, so that we can test them out and give them more feedback. The mechanics of how you upgrade them, that stuff, it all works just fine. They just need to play with the values of that and get that just right. We're not expecting legendary perks to release until the fall, so there's plenty of time for all that stuff. Right now, it's clearly a response to the first iteration where the community looked at it and said, sorry guys, this isn't good, we need something else. And they went ahead and did that. And they did it in a matter of just a few weeks. So I'm really impressed by how quickly they turned this around. I'm really impressed by how efficient we can see things are when they have that direct line of communication with the players. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how this all shapes up in the end. I'm confident that it's going to work out. This is a huge step in the right direction. With all that said, that is the end of today's video. If you enjoyed it, if you found it useful, please go ahead, drop a like, subscribe, hit the bell notification button. There's always new content coming, and I hope I see you next time.